everybody. It's David and Nikki Nellis with Foodie the Beast.
We're going to have so much fun in studio today. We have Sean PRINZ in from J&G Steakhouse. He's pouring wines. And ANN ESPOSITO from Ciao, Italia is in. She's talking all about Italy.
And we've also got Nathan STAMBAUGH from Creekstone Black Angus Beef and Danielle Poux from Danielle's Desserts out in Tysons Corner.
It's going to be a super sweet show. Stay tuned.
Planet Wine. It's like having your own wine cellar right in the heart of Del Rey. More than 700 bottles of domestic and imported wines offer something for every occasion and budget. For fine wines and more, there's a whole planet. Planet Wine in Del Rey. We've also got Sean PRINZ in. I asked, he's not related to Freddie, which makes you a less interesting guest in my eyes, Sean. But Sean's the assistant GM at Jean-Georges J&G Steakhouse in the W, and he's also a skilled beverage professional. And he's in to talk about and pour summer wines from J&G and talk about some stuff they got going on there. And Sean, let's start with you. I think people would hear your title, assistant GM, and not necessarily think that a sort of a business side guy would know his wines, but you do. So, tell us about your background.
Well, prior to Jean-Georges, I was at the St. Regis in D.C. I did the opening with Alain Ducasse, and I had a very good mentor, Ramon Narvaez, who is almost the prince of wine when it comes to D.C.
We know Ramon very well.
I think
a
lot of people in this room know Ramon very well. He's very,
I know
very
his
well
wines.
connected. Yeah. And he was extremely eloquent and very knowledgeable. Knows a lot of the stories behind the wine. So he was a great mentor to me. And prior to that, South Florida, where I was at with Starwood with Westin Hotels. So a lot of wine down there as well. But definitely Ramon was a big impact.
Well, so tell us a little bit about the program you're working on at J&G Steakhouse and the sort of wines that you're doing there.
Absolutely. Because we have such a large market of people that come there. We have, businessmen, ex-presidents, so on and so forth.
Well, and we should say, for those who don't know, J&G Steakhouse is in the W Hotel.
I did say that.
Well, I'm just repeating it.
I said it already.
All right, one more time.
Well, I got a question for you, because, I'm one of those people, when it's this hot out, wine doesn't even cross my mind. But there are...
Clearly, it crosses mine.
I'm going to get you some help, Amy Winehouse.
Right.
But
that's not
Amy.
nice.
Well,
too soon.
Right.
Why, was that in bad taste? Well, that's what I'm known for, so it's okay. Right. No, but you brought some wines, and obviously there is a wine program that's hearty and healthy and up and running in the summer. What kind of wines do you serve when it's this hot out?
Well, it's a steakhouse, so we still sell a lot of Cabernet Sauvignon, a lot of reds. People love that with their steak, so there's always a large demand for that. But
they just want something big?
Yeah, they want big Napa cabs. And but again, with the 122-degree heat index lately, we've been selling a lot of rosé and a lot of sparkling. People feel as if they're calmed by a little effervescence. So the first one I brought was Thibaut Janison Sparkling out of Virginia.
It's not the fizz.
It's not the fizz. I've had the fizz, and this is much
So this is
better.
Claude.
Okay. Yeah, Claude Thibaut.
Yep.
We've had Claude in studio, too. He's a wonderful guy.
All right, well, while we're tasting this, why don't we turn over to Nathan STAMBAUGH, and let's start from the start with you. You're with Creekstone. It's 100% Black Angus. Give us the 411 on Creekstone, because I don't think it's a household name here. It is with chefs, but I don't know that it is with consumers.
Sure.
And you didn't bring David a baseball hat. He's going to be really upset.
We've got one out in the trunk for you. We'll bring it in.
Okay, Nathan.
Creekstone, it is a big name with the chefs locally, and we're actually reaching out to the consumers so they realize what a sustainable product we have. We are 100% Black Angus. There's a lot of programs out there that call themselves Angus, but really they only have to be 51% black hided.
Well, can you explain, for those who don't know, what does Black Angus mean? It's the whole cow is a certain breed. Can you explain that in greater detail?
Great question. It's actually the breed of cattle.
I'm the one who asks the good questions
on
the show, just so you know.
Oh, my God.
It's the breed of cattle. So Black Angus is the specific breed, and it's actually known for marbling and fat.
Okay.
So when you're eating a steak, the thing that's going to give you the flavor and the taste profile is the marbling inside. So when you start with the Black Angus cattle, you already have said, I'm going for the best steak on the plate.
Okay, so when it's only 51%
when it's
Angus,
black hided, it just
what
means
does that
basically
mean?
it's like the wrapping it looks like
it's
a black
like gold-plated?
Angus.
Sure, it could be. Gold plated is a great example of it. It could be a Holstein.
I'm getting gold stars left and right today.
It could be a Holstein
Wait, Nathan,
cattle.
hold it. I'm on this show too, all right? Good Lord.
We're going to talk about burgers later.
Yeah,
David.
talk about
and I know they're your
Hurry
favorite
up.
food.
Jeez.
So, it could be a Holstein cattle that had 51% black skin color.
Okay.
on the outside. And what's going to happen on the plate is you may have a very good steak one time, and the next time you eat the same brand, you're not going to have a consistent eating experience.
Okay.
Well, I just want to ask a question, because the thing that, I mean, there was a time in my life when literally you stepped on my foot and my mouth opened and I would eat whatever was in front of me.
Are we talking about last night?
Shut up. Nikki has.
What are you talking about?
Well, I'm saying that, I would eat any piece, basically go anywhere and eat any hamburger, any steak or anything. And now I'm even aware of the issue about antibiotics and hormones and all that. And, they've been prevalent in beef farming for decades. You guys are hormone and antibiotic free. What are the pros and cons? Because, how do you protect your cows and keep them disease-free if you're not medicating them?
Sure. You have to start with small farms. I mean, the key to having healthy cattle without feeding antibiotics or hormones is keep them in small family farms. So we actually work with about 100 small farms, so we're able to keep our production numbers up, but in the same time ensure to the customer that it's going to be never, ever on the hormones and antibiotics instead of a withdrawal program.
All right, we have to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to ask how you work with local chefs, because I know they're very demanding. We want to hear how they're working with Creekstone Farms. This is David and Nikki Nellis with Foodie the Beast. We're going to be drinking some more wine and talking some beef when we get right back.
The phrase neighborhood restaurant means convenience, but not necessarily style or good taste. But in DC's West End, Circle Bistro, Notte Bianche, and Dish Plus Drinks take neighborhood dining to new levels. Circle Bistro offers contemporary French-inspired cuisine. Dish has new twists on American classics. And Notte Bianche is the perfect Italian trattoria. The Kennedy Center is just steps away, so pre- and post-theater dining is enjoyable and convenient. Dish, Notte Bianche, and Circle Bistro. There's good taste in the neighborhood. Okay, we're back on Foodie and the Beast with David and Nikki Nellis and our guest Nathan STAMBAUGH from Creekstone. Where is Creekstone? Are you out in? Is your operation out in Kansas, and the processing all happens out there where the farms are?
Correct. We've got one processing plant out in Kansas, and we pull all of our cattle through there. So everything that's processed there is specifically our meat.
Okay, and people, I think, with all the E. coli and other issues that have happened, what kind of safety standards do you guys maintain?
Sure. We E. coli test every piece of meat that comes out of our plant that's going to go into a grind. So E. coli happens a lot of times with burger meat. So before it leaves our plant, we are actually getting a negative read so that when it goes out to our local distributors, they have the assurance that there won't be any issues.
So it's already been cleared. So you already
Correct.
know.
And
go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, do you ship to consumers? I mean, can we order?
We do. We ship via the web. We've got a web store at creekstonefarms.com, and customers can get it delivered right to their door.
Oh, cool. Well, that's good. And I love that it's pasture raised. I think that's very, very important. And just quickly, so tell us about some of the chefs that you work with here in DC.
Sure. Chef Todd Gray was one of the first chefs to bring on our product when we brought it into this marketplace. We're very excited to work with him at both of his restaurants. Brian Voltaggio this year has recently started using Creekstone on his menu. Nick over at Bibiana, as you mentioned, a big fan of Creekstone Farms, and we love working with him. And the newest player in town is Shake Shack. We do the special blend. That's all out of Creekstone Farms beef here in town, and all of their other locations.
You do them up in New York?
New York, Dubai, Kuwait.
Wow.
They're going international now.
We're going to be in Dubai next week.
We'll stop by Shake Shack when we go to Dubai.
All right, let's make sure, give us the website once more so people can go check it out and order.
It's creekstonefarms.com.
All right.
Excellent.
Nathan
Thank you for coming in today, coming from Meatopia, and giving us the 411 on Creekstone Farms.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Excellent.
All right. Well,
are we ready for our next guest?
Yes, we are. Marianne, are you there?
I am. Good morning. Ciao. How is everyone?
Ciao, come va? We're going to speak Italian all day.
Oh, sto bene, grazie.
All right. So, Marianne Esposito, here's the first question, great question. You've got Martha Stewart, Emerald, Paula Deen, all those others running around on TV. And in fact, you are the host of the longest-running cooking series in TV history, Ciao Italia, on PBS. How did all that happen?
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. I am under the radar, but we've been there for 22 years. We've just completed our 22nd season.
You're not under our radar, by the way.
Which you can see, of course, on Create on WETA in your area. Ciao Italia started years ago at a very small public television station in New Hampshire, of all places. And I'm like, if I told you the whole story about how that started, we'd be here forever. But it started with my very first trip to Italy, and the fact that my grandmothers were professional chefs. My mother was a dietitian. I was a teacher at the time before I became a chef, and so you know how they say plums don't fall far from the tree. Well, when I made my first visit to Italy, the light bulb kind of went on, and things just changed around. When I came home, I knew that was the calling, and so here I am.
Well, so when you started your show almost 2 decades ago, the palate of America was very different than it is today. How have you seen it evolve, especially when it comes to Italian cooking, and how your show has evolved to go along with that?
Well, what I have seen, of course, first of all, producing a show in New Hampshire on Italian food was very difficult because you didn't have that Italian community base that really understood what you were doing. So it was really a hard sell to go to the public television station. But once people started traveling more and they wanted to go to cooking schools and experience foods of other cultures, that's when the cooking shows really took off. And you have to credit PBS because they started the whole cooking school of food cooking on TV genre. But then the Food Network came along, and all of this helped to just pique people's imaginations about what could be in the food world instead of what they were just used to. And for my show, the whole mission of Ciao Italia has been to expand the repertoire of the fact that there are 20 regions in Italy, and each one of these regions cooks very locally. So what most people were used to, just spaghetti and meatballs,
red sauce,
red sauce and Chicago-style deep dish pizza, that was nothing. That was Italian food. So I like to think that what our show did was become a library of what real regional Italian cooking is all about.
But I want to ask about your new book and that whole process, because I think from the consumer side we see people that it looks like people are just pounding out cookbooks, and I don't think anybody really understands the kind of research that has, even when you're talking about your own family recipes. What did you have to go through to pull all that together?
Wow. Well, I was lucky in the sense that my mother kept very detailed notes in these just black and white little composition notebooks, and so I have all of her old recipes, and of course I would ask a lot of questions. I knew that before everybody passed on that I wanted to hear their stories. So over the years, I have collected this information because I was privileged enough to live with my maternal grandmother. So my maternal grandmother lived with us, so she would tell all the stories, and there are a lot of interesting stories in the cookbook. This is not just a cookbook. It's a story of the love and reverence that these 3 women had for Italian food and how they wanted to preserve this for future generations. So I'm now the messenger for this. So I say that this book is my tribute to them and everything that they've taught me. So lots of questions were asked. The fact that I was able to, my grandmother lived with us, and that I had these notebooks just kind of embellished everything that I brought to the cookbook.
Well, after you put the book out, maybe we'll have you back on the show so we can talk more about the recipes.
Well, let me ask this. Were they all Siciliani? I mean, is this 200?
Oh, no, because these recipes, I'm half Sicilian and half Neapolitan.
Oh, so you get the whole...
you get the whole thing.
There's a real strong emphasis on Southern Italian cooking, but also a lot of the recipes in here are my take on other regions of Italy, the Piedmont and the Veneto, and so there's a mix of lots of things in here. But primarily, its focus is on what these 3 women have given, and I have been able to help preserve.
I have an awesome idea for you. Pick a recipe that will be necessary for the 3 of us to taste in Positano sometime. Can you do that for me?
Yeah, sure, I can do that.
You're so nice. After all these years, I just love you. All right, everybody, it's Marianne Esposito from Ciao Italia on PBS, and you're going to get a chance to meet her and maybe even cook with her.
Get on that auction.
On August 4th.
I'm tweeting about the auction right now, so if you want to cook on stage and be a part of the demo with Chef Marianne Esposito, now is your moment to do that.
All right, Marianne, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Please,
ciao tutti.
Ciao, grazie.
Grazie a voi.
Bye-bye. All right, let's bring in Danielle.
She's here.
Danielle. Well, I meant
I know what
into
you
the
meant.
conversation.
I got it.
All right, Danielle.
Yes.
Here
Hi.
we are.
Hi.
Welcome. You were a
We
human...
like when people come with treats.
Yeah, we gotta get some forks. But
They're right in front of your face.
You were... Yeah, I'll take the big one. You were a human resources executive.
Yes, I was.
And you were bored stiff.
Why don't you tell her how she was feeling?
I read. No, but now you're a pastry chef and owner of Danielle's Desserts in Tysons Galleria, which is a very, posh, elevated, she location. How did all that happen?
Well, first I want to say I wasn't quite bored stuff. Just I don't want my former employers.
But you don't want to offend anybody.
I lied.
Right.
I'm the kind of employee she never would have hired.
Right.
So how did it happen? I can tell you, David, that 25 years ago, I knew I was going to be doing
What, when
this.
you were like 4?
No, thank you, though. Flattery gets you
I'm
everywhere.
looking for some free cake.
Oh, yes, I can. You've got it. So I knew I was going to do this about 25 years ago because I liked to bake, and I always knew I wanted to have my own business. And I thought, to have a business where I'm actually creating the product and selling it on the spot is what I want to do. It took me 25 years to get enough courage up to actually do it. And I had to wait till my daughter was grown and out of the house. I had to wait.
You have a grown daughter?
Oh,
wait till
yes.
these people
I have
see
a
you on TV.
grandson as well.
Really?
I have a grandson as
my
well.
God.
Yes.
Nikki's a grandmother
I have a grandson
too.
too.
You know
Oh
what?
my God. Well,
You know what? There's some hot grandmothers running around. Why don't we just change the show to The Beast and keep
Grandmothers
going?
are not what they used to be,
No,
that's for
very
sure. So anyway, it took me 25 years to get up enough courage to do this. And it was funny
But was
because
this the idea that was rummaging around in your brain? I mean, you knew you wanted to do a bakery?
Was. Yes. And so it was really about 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, time flies, that I said, you know what, it's time. I'm not getting any younger.
Right, and the economy was great. I mean, what a time to go out and
That's
start
the
a
thing.
business.
You did this in the middle of an economic mess.
Yes, I did.
How hard was it to get it up and running and
what about the capital? Did you need a lot of capital to launch it?
I did need capital. It was not easy to get up and running because I had trouble getting the capital.
I bet.
And I never did get it, so I really had to come up with an idea that allowed me to think about how best to start small.
Are you the person that's been robbing banks with that bag over there?
That's me.
We'd like to do it with you.
With the pastry
Do you
head.
need help? That would be like Jim.
an intern?
It would kind of be like Jim Carrey and Taya Leone. But,
That's me.
so we've got to take a break, right?
Oh, yes, we do. All right. We're going to talk more about the kinds of things that you're baking up there and what people can expect when they come into your bakery.
Okay, that sounds
This is
good.
David and Nikki Nellis with Foodie and the Beast. We also are going to talk a little fashion, not the Tysons kind, a different kind, when we meet back.
Planet Wine in Del Rey is more than just 700 great wines. There's also a stellar selection of craft beers picked by Greg Engert, one of Food & Wine's favorite beer experts, and artisan charcuterie from Red Apron. For fine wines, beers, and more, there's a whole planet. Planet Wine in Del Rey. All right, we are back on Foodie and the Beast with David, Nikki Nellis, and Danielle Poux of Danielle's Desserts. But before we get back to Danielle, I just quickly want to thank the people that make the show possible. Our good friends at Georgetown Bagelry, the single best bagels
In the D.C. metro area.
In America. And if you're ever over on River Road, near that Whole Foods, you got to stop in there because their stuff is awesome. Neighborhood Restaurant Group, Rustico, Birch and Barley, Tallulah, Vermilion, and especially our buddies over at Planet Wine in Del Rey, a great, great wine store.
Absolutely.
Founding Farmers, that lovely restaurant down on Pennsylvania Avenue, Farmers and Fishers over at the Georgetown Harbor, and Notte Bianchi Dish Circle Bistro, the folks at Modus Hospitality, Charles Schwartz and Son Fine Jewelers. We got a jeweler. And Bethesda Central
I'm
Farm
bedecked.
Market. That's right. I'm wearing jeweled underwear today, courtesy of Charles Schwartz and Son. Thank you, Paul, Pastor, and Dan. So, Danielle, let's get back to you. I guess you guys were talking off camera.
Well, we were. So, were you surprised? Did a lot of people ask for gluten-free?
Yes.
Was that a
lot of-
surprise for you?
Not so much. I knew there would be requests and requirements for special kinds of desserts. I thought it would be the sugar-free first or vegan first, but the gluten-free is what we were getting the most of in terms of requests.
Okay, and so a good friend of mine who told me about your bakery said you do this one special treat that is just delicious. She's obsessed. And I hate to say it out loud because it sounds kind of dirty, but
No. Well, this is what we were wondering. They're called cake balls.
Yes,
And we were
yes.
wondering how you get their legs apart.
Well, just for anyone who does not know
So
what
you're
a
not even
cake ball
drinking
is.
any wine, and you're laughing at that. It's so sad.
Danielle, when she leaves me, I'll be calling. Probably tomorrow.
Right.
So the cake balls started in Texas. I can't take credit for those, and they're really just reaching the East Coast. There are a couple of establishments here that carry them on a pop. And what they are really compressed balls of cake. And what that means is you take a cake, icing and all, and compress it.
So, like, would you take your strawberry cake
That's
or your
right.
caramel cake and you would just mush it together?
Yes.
Should we do it?
We can.
David.
But that,
David,
I do
leave it
believe he's
alone.
about to do
No,
it.
I'm going to do it. Why the hell not?
Because we
Why?
don't have
This
the-
is rated. Come
Because you
on.
don't
it's
have the
gonna be-
chocolate to
Get
dip
ready.
it into. David, oh
What?
my God.
Let's see.
That is...
And then what do? You just
Okay, so what you do...
eat it like an apple?
No, not quite.
What?
What you do is you put it in the fridge, let it firm up, and then you dip
Oh,
it.
wait a minute. All right, everybody. Now, this will be a first for radio. Nikki's going to lick my fingers. Come on.
I was trying to warn you before you picked it up.
Thank you.
Okay, then you dip it. Now, it tastes good that way, does it not?
Oh, yeah?
Then you dip it in some vanilla or chocolate coating.
Okay.
And you sell it like that.
Why didn't you
It's
say that
about-
faster?
I was trying.
You didn't do a good job.
And
No.
so the cake balls are usually a little bit,
bit
smaller.
smaller?
Now, because some people are concerned about how the name cake ball sounds, some people call them cake truffles. That
Okay,
sounds
cute.
a bit more distinguished.
It's a little more
right?
refined.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
It sounds extinguished.
Okay, so...
So we've been playing with those. I didn't bring any today because
That's
we're
okay.
still experimenting
David just
with
made
those.
one.
I know,
Seriously?
he just made one.
We're going to have a food fight later.
Oh my God.
All right,
Embarrassing.
Well, that would
Danielle,
work well.
let's make sure everybody knows where Danielle's desserts are in the
Okay.
Tysons Galleria. We're not talking Tysons Corner Center.
Right.
This is the Galleria on International
Tysons
Drive.
Tysons Galleria. We're on the 3rd level, right next to Saks Fifth Avenue.
Good location.
Yes,
Get
yes.
some shoes,
and
get
you're
some
going
cake.
to get down-home Southern-style desserts. We use butter. We bake everything fresh right there. You can watch us, and that's what we have.
And should I announce that I've signed on as the cake ball maker?
You're hired.
All right. Well, thanks very much. Where are you online? Because I'm sure you got a website too.
Sure, www.daniellesdesserts.com.
if
And
you
you're
can-
on Twitter.
Yes.
And if you
Site.
can't spell
Facebook.
Danielle or desserts, you don't deserve to eat this
Right.
food.
Good luck.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in.
And for
Thank
bringing
you.
all your delicious
Thank you. It's a
desserts.
Let's get
pleasure.
back to Sean Prince.
Sean, we have a
now.
lot to cover with you.
Let's get to the refined. Give me a wine bottle to smush up over there.
Well, in front of you, actually, Nikki has already gone through the Pinot Noir.
I know. It's really
this
glug,
yummy.
glug, 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 tick, 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 tick.
GoldenEye Pinot Noir. This is an ace on our list. We serve it by the glass, and it's probably
good.
our sexiest Pinot Noir that we have. I mean, it's just really that true cherry flavor you go for, a little bit of spice, and that silky finish you hope to get in any Pinot
And how
Noir.
much is it a bottle?
I believe it's 76.
Okay. And what do you sell it for by the glass?
I
$2
think
million?
it's,
Right.
1/4 of that. I'm
Okay.
not, she's the math person.
Right.
I'm sorry, I
Okay,
don't know.
sorry.
I just,
We're
I
asking
just picked
difficult
the wine.
questions on a Sunday morning.
All right, Sean
Okay.
Prince, thanks for joining us
Oh,
from
thank you very
J&G
much.
Steakhouse. We
Oh,
kinda
I didn't
wraps it
really.
up.
It's over.
I
The
just want
show's
to make sure that
over.
he will just talk all
I know,
day.
I have a lot of
want to make sure
questions.
everybody knows that this is just a microcosm of all the stuff that's going on out there in the greater DC area. And if you want to know what's going on, go to thelistareyouwantit.com. It's free to subscribe. This is not a trap. It really is free. And it lists hundreds of events and activities happening every day across the area. You can also follow Nikki on Twitter. What is your Twitter address?
NYCNELL at Nick Nell.
Right. And if you hang in and turn to WTOP at 103.5 FM, you can hear Nikki at 10 of 1 today tell you about what's coming up this week. This is David and Nikki Nellis on Foodie and the Beast. Thanks to Nathan Stambaugh, Marianne Esposito, Danielle Poux, and Sean Prince.
Everybody have a delicious week.